good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, whenever that you're looking at this video, this PowerPoint presentation. Hi everyone, my name is Adam Joyner, and I will be talking about the Prosper Act on student loans. I chose this topic because I know a lot of us are fixing to graduate, and we have to do that kind of loan forgiveness type plan if we want to try to pay off our loans or consolidate. And I feel like it was a really kind of a good kind of introduction to what that kind of looks like and what this Prosper Act is going to do. There's a lot of details that kind of go into it, so here we're going to get started. So kind of the agenda that we're going to talk about today is it's kind of a little bit of topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the introduction, the background, the summary, the context, the impact and influence, and of course the conclusion of what the Prosper Act is, what it does, and everything that it affects. This act is very recent. It is very new. It actually just came out December 1st, 2017, which was just last year. So it's very interesting, things that are going on right now in the time of higher education. So you know what you're wondering, what is the Prosper Act? The Prosper Act is a bill to reauthorize the Higher Education Act of 1965. The bill was introduced in the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, which is chaired by the Representative Virginia Foxx of North Carolina. The full title of this bill is Promoting Real Opportunity, Success, and Prosperity Through Education Reform Act. A little bit of background about Prosper Act. The Promoting Real Opportunity, Success, and Prosperity Through Education Reform Act, as passed by the Committee on Education and the Workforce, will help more Americans earn a lifetime of success by promoting innovation, access, and completion, simplifying and improving student aid, empowering students and families to make informed decisions, ensuring strong accountability and limited federal role. This is kind of going to be important later. We're going to kind of go step by step on what that kind of looks like and things like that, so we're making sure that when we go through this that you understand what the Prosper Act does and what it is. There's a lot of state sponsors when it comes to the Prosper Act: Georgia, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Michigan, Virginia, Alabama, California, Florida, Kansas, Kentucky, Minnesota, New York, South Carolina, and Tennessee all support the Prosper Act. There's a lot of names for these representatives, but as total, there's about 21 Republican representatives from each state that sponsors the bill. The current status of the Prosper Act is after its introduction on December 1st, 2017. The bill was subject to a 14-hour debate by the Education and Workforce Committee. More than 60 amendments were introduced, none related to TRIO. We're going to get into TRIO a little bit later. The committee passed the bill by a party line vote of 23-17. Here's another little summary of the Prosper Act on student loan forgiveness. Here's a short little video. It's a nice little cartoon. It kind of just summarizes what I just talked about. It kind of goes into a little bit more detail, what the Prosper Act is and what it does. It's supposed to replace, the Higher Education Act, provided, the Higher Education Act has provided federal student support to both individuals pursuing a post-secondary education and institutions of higher education. However, federal law is no longer working for post-secondary students. Since the last reform of Higher Education Act, our country has faced an economic crisis, and the higher education landscape has significantly changed. A decade since the recession began, the American workforce faces a shortage of 6 million skilled workers. At the same time, the students are facing higher tuition rates and have collectively taken over $1 trillion in student debt. Reforms must be made to assist students in completing affordable higher education that will prepare them to enter the workforce with the skills they need to be successful. And this is kind of why I'm kind of talking about it today, but this is where the Prosper Act comes from. Also, guys, I do apologize if there's any static. I'm in a room that has air conditioning constantly going, so if you hear any, that is the reason why. So for context, like I was talking about earlier, it promoting innovation, access, and completion. The first point is that it strengthens the workforce development. The bill expands opportunities for students to participate in industry-led earn and learn programs that lead to high-wage, high-skilled, and high-demand careers by supporting partnerships between industry and institutions to develop these programs. It is also allows students to use Pell Grants for shorter-term programs that will assist them in entering the workforce more quickly. Additionally, the legislation focuses additional resources on the federal work studies program while eliminating the arbitrary cap that prevents more than 25% of an institution's work studies funding from flowing to students working to private sector companies. The bill also allows institutions to use more resources to locate and develop work-based learning jobs, including apprenticeships, for students that align with student career goals. The bill allows institutions to use institutional aid to develop and implement career-specific programs. It also requires accrediting agencies to have at least one representative from the business community on the agency's board. And it also encourages innovative learning. The bill repeals the outdated and rigid definition of distance education, making it possible for institutions to develop more innovative methods of delivering post-secondary education. It also encourages competency-based education by creating a clear pathway for such programs to be eligible for student federal aid to help students attain less costly degree based on their own learning schedule. The bill allows new providers of higher education to collaborate with traditional colleges and universities to offer educational programs to students that are eligible for student aid. The last point under promoting innovation, access, and completion is emphasizes access and completion. The bill encourages Pell-eligible students to complete it on time and with less debt by offering $300 Pell Grant bonus to students who take 15 credits per semester in an award year. The legislation also reforms the TRIO programs to more easily allow first-time applicants the opportunity to compete for their grant, increasing access to the programs for students by requiring 20% non-federal match and encouraging evidence-based programs focused on increasing college access and completion by setting aside at least 10% of the grant funds for this purpose. Another aspect of the Prosper Act is simplifying and improving student aid. It streamlines student aid and further simplifies the FAFSA. The bill aligns the maximum income threshold required to qualify for the simplified version of FAFSA known as Simply Needs Test with the simplified task forms, so more middle-class families will be able to quickly complete the form. The bill also ensures students are allowed to continue to apply for federal student aid with income data for 2 years prior to the date of application. It also makes the FAFSA available on a mobile app and requires both the app and online form to be consumer tested so it's clear, easy, and to use. And like I said, it streamlines student aid. The bill streamlines student aid programs into one grant program, one loan program, and one work-study program to ease confusion for students who are deciding the best options available, responsible pay for their college education. They're moving away from a lot of different things when it comes to financial aid. They're adding the one grant, one loan, one work-study initiative. The one grant, the bill authorizes the Pell Grant program through fiscal year of 2024 and requires institutions to disperse these grants to students on a weekly or monthly basis, similar to a paycheck. It also directs the secretary to annually provide an individualized Pell Grant status report to each grant recipient so students are aware of how much of the grant they have used or how much they have left. Further, the bill includes a provision to prevent fraud in the Pell Grant program by prohibiting students who have received a grant for 3 award years but did not earn an academic credit from receiving additional Pell Grants. The bill also provides the Secretary additional discretion to stop any payments to students with unusual enrollment histories. And the Secretary, I'm talking about the Secretary of Education. The One Loan initiative, the bill streamlines the 6 loans currently available into the new federal One Loan program with one unsubsidized loan per category of borrower. An undergraduate loan, a graduate loan, and a parent loan. The program offers reasonable annual and aggregate limits on undergraduate and graduate and parent borrowing and allows financial aid administrators to develop lower loan limits for certain categories of borrowers to ensure responsible lending. Like the reform in the Pell Grant program, institutions are required to disperse loans to students on a weekly, monthly basis similar to a paycheck. The bill eliminates the origination fees borrowers are currently charged for each loan dispersed and maintains the market-driven interest rates set in current law. One work study initiative. The bill reforms the outdated federal work study program allocation formula by equitably distributing work study dollars based on Pell Grant dollars. An undergraduate student need. It creates a new set aside of up to $150 million for institutions that have strong Pell Grant recipient completion rates or have significant improvement of the rate from the preceding fiscal year. The bill also focuses the limited funding in this program for students pursuing an undergraduate degree. And also, for context, it simplifies the repayment period. The bill pares down the maze of loan repayment options to one standard 10-year repayment plan and one income-based repayment IBR plan. Borrowers in the IBR plan are required to repay only the principal and interest they would have paid a standard 10-year plan as calculated when they entered repayment. Another aspect is empowering students and families to make informed decisions. It improves early awareness of student loans, increases transparency, enhances financial aid counseling as well. The bill requires all recipients of federal student aid to undergo enhanced financial aid counseling, including for the first time Pell Grant recipients and parent borrowers. Also, it ensures strong accountability and limited federal role. It strengthens the accountability through accreditation, increases institutional risk sharing, eliminates burdensome federal regulations and unnecessary reporting requirements, reduces the Secretary's authority, and repeals unfunded programs. The bill repeals all unfunded programs ensuring congressional priorities are maintained in the future. The bill replaces strong prohibitions on the Secretary by explicitly prohibiting her from exceeding her authority, defining any terms inconsistent with the Higher Education Act, or adding any requirements on institutions and states that are not explicitly authorized in the law. Next is, the impact of what the Prosper Act does. The Prosper Act will greatly affect the TRIO programs, taking away opportunities for students to attend college. What is TRIO, you ask? I'm glad you asked. TRIO is programs that are targeted to serve and assist low-income individuals, first-generation college students, and individuals with disabilities to progress through the academic pipeline from middle school to post-baccalaureate programs. And also, I included a little video if you would like to take a look at it. It is the history of TRIO programs link right there if you wanted to take a look at it. It's a nice little kind of history of TRIO programs if you're unfamiliar with what they are. It's something to look at. Also, another impact the Prosper Act has includes a number of troubling proposals in the TRIO section of the law that could potentially have a very harmful impact on low-income, first-generation students. The bill proposes to create a single definition of institution of higher education that broadens the type of for-profit institutions that are eligible for Title IV funds. It also eliminates the in-school interest subsidy for undergraduate students, repeals teacher preparation programs, and eliminates the public service loan forgiveness. The Prosper Act does include some promising proposals that, if implemented, could have a positive impact on the educational attainment of low-income, first-generation students. Proposals include the creation of a Pell bonus that provides an additional $300 to students for completing 15 credits, eliminates origination fees on student loans, and provides institutions with the authority to limit student borrowing. In conclusion, I am against this bill. If it takes away, from programs for middle and lower class, me personally, I am a first-generation student, but I did not go through any of the TRIO programs. But I feel like if I were to go through that program and have some of that money taken away, I feel like that would not be beneficial for me as a student, going through college. The status is it's still on the floor. It could be potentially passed with more provisions. The provisions that I kind of talked about earlier were, It's promoting innovation, access to completion, and things like that, empowering, making sure students understand. But if they take away certain funds away from programs that could help out a student, I am strongly against that. Also, here are my references. If you guys have any more questions about any types of the Prosper Act, like I said, this bill is very, very new. Things are still going on. So if you have any other questions, there you go. But at this time, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Uh, just thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. As a second year is fixing to graduate, congratulations. First years, you're almost there. Trust me, it's going to fly by. Just know that you got this and trust the process. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday and have a great weekend. Bye.